God.
So if nothing else, that music gets me revved up and ready to go. Because sometimes I'll be like, ah, but then the music starts playing. I'm like,
yeah. Who's cool?
Yeah.
I am. Boom, boom.
We're cool. We're cool.
Right.
So what the heck does that mean? New. You can now upload multiple files at the same time. Thank you, StreamYard. Tell me that later. Ew, what?
Yeah.
Where did your mind just go?
I don't know. Something's wrong.
Because, yeah. All right.
Something's
well,
wrong,
that's okay. That's all right. So if you are just joining us and you have no idea who we are, first of all, I'm sorry, because today is probably not going to be the best representation. But you know what?
If you're looking for that first impression, not this episode.
No,
go back a couple.
Stop again. Go back. And you're like, oh, okay, I get it now, because today is not going to be that day. No. Today, but you know what? That's life. Like, it is. And there's been a lot of life going on right now. And
so much life.
It's just like, I feel like I can't get my head above water. Like, I feel like, I think I use this analogy so much that people are probably like, oh my God, shut up, Maria. But I don't care, because I'm saying it anyway. Dang it.
Say it anyway, Maria.
I am. It's like all those horror movies. Boom, boom, boom. It's like on those movies where the door keeps getting farther away and you're just like, they're running. The door's like, that's what I feel like. I'm like, as I can see it, I get like really close and I'm like reaching out to grab the knob and they're like, psych, you suck. So I feel like it's like, and it's not that things are necessarily going bad.
Right.
Going. And I feel like, there's one of me and everything's just going.
That's how I feel.
My brain literally feels like there's been like a blender in there. It's like, and I'm just tired. Like, I'm just tired. I'm tired. And I get like that. Quite often where I'm like in overwhelm. And I'm out of, I guess I'm starting to come out of the overwhelm and being reborn. Oh.
No comment.
Because I've had some really, really busy weeks where it was just a lot of hands-on, no time to think about anything, and
no time.
With the cafe, we're understaffed, and let's not even talk about freaking shipping issues, and because I'm sure I don't watch the news, everybody else watches the news, they probably know what I'm talking about, but I didn't know what was going on until I couldn't get nothing. I'm like, wait, what's going on? And then they told me all the things. I'm like, oh. That's great. So
crazy.
All of those things. And then all the other things that go in life, right? Like all the responsibilities. And I have these thoughts all the time where I fantasize about just like running away from everything and living in the woods. There's that show, Naked and Afraid. I would just be naked and unafraid. I'd be like, I don't give any beeps. This
naked and conquered.
Fine. Yeah. This is fine for me.
Jesus. Yeah, it's so funny because I think, I've been posting up some Facebook posts that I put up of me or things I would say like 12 years ago or 6 years ago or whatever. And some people are like, what? That was you? I'm like, yeah. Like, feeling like I just couldn't do it, or, why does life have to be so hard and all this other craziness? But I think, as you get older, you realize I don't think anything, it's going to sound a little scary. All right. I don't think anything actually changes as far as the tasks that you have to do. Like, there's still levels of responsibility. What changes is the way you manage it, because I think for the things that I'm doing now, I'm still trying to figure it all out. And I know that my challenges right now are just the beginning. Like, there's going to be more things to do. And I'm just like, oh God. But I think in the past, I used to just run away and just never come back until like months later. You know what I mean? Now, if anything, it's like a day or two or maybe a couple hours.
You need that.
Yeah. But it's like, I think, I'm just realizing it's not going to stop. Like, I thought there was a moment of where this happens with the scale, and then eventually it just kind of evens out. I realize it's always going to be this. So I'm just like, Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, I think I was talking to Natasha one day and I was just like, oh my God, this is never going to stop. Like, this is not going to stop. But I think it's also, the weird thing is, I think it's kind of refreshing because now you realize what has to change, and it's you, how you manage it, how you move, work better, like work more effectively or efficiently, whatever the word is you want to use. You know, that's what I've been hearing this voice in my head. Like, I'll get into the moment where it's like, oh my God, like this, I feel overwhelmed, I feel this, and I hear a voice go, I just need you to do. I just need you to do. Just execute. Just do it. I know you're feeling all these like crazy things. I just need you to do. And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna listen to that voice. I've been getting some stuff done. I'm like, and then I'm just like, whoa.
Yeah. Well,
has that ever happened to you?
Yeah, and I mean, there's some other voices that sometimes come in. Those are the ones you need to push away. But that one sounds like a good one, right? But no, I mean, I think that's the thing. I think as you get older, you do figure out that nothing's going to change in some ways. And at first, you're like, wait, nothing's going to wait.
You're like, oh crap, I'm stuck here.
Going to change, but then you're like, okay, nothing's going to change. So it almost gives you a power to know that and be able to kind of plan for, you know, we talk about it all the time anyway, just the plan for the chaos, plan for the overwhelm, plan for the time where you're not going to want to do it. And I knew it was going to come this time because I've been here about, I don't even know how many times at this point, a lot of times. I knew it was going to come. It doesn't mean during those times, though, that it's not exhausting and tiring and you don't question. I questioned a couple of times. I'm like, what the ever-loving crap was I thinking when I was like, you know what? I need to open a cafe, a hands-on, Maria's got to be there with her own recipes cafe. Like I had nothing better to do, to stay in here and bake some crap, you know, but at the same time, I knew the bigger purpose, the why of why I needed to do it. And that made it worth it to go through this portion of it. But it's still hard. I mean, it's hard.
Right.
The questioning, it's hard, the uncertainties, it's hard, the overwhelm, it's hard, the fact that I have other irons in the fire that I feel like I can't give my full attention to, you know, it's all that stuff's hard. But I think for me, the biggest thing is that what's different this time, I think, than the other times I've gone through it, is I haven't kept it all to myself. You know, in the past, I would, you know, suffer in silence and just push through it all and say nothing, trust zero people. And I didn't do that this time. Now, we've had some hiccups, you know, some miscommunications on some different things, but that's part of it. But the difference this time is I have people, like, I mean, you're one of them. You know, I have people where it's like even call. I mean, how many times have we gone on the phone and I just like freaking vent? Or we end up cracking up about something done. Yeah, I mean, it's like, that's made the biggest difference, I think, this time. And I think so many times, you know, especially people like us that have that entrepreneur mind, we think we have to just kind of suffer in silence and do it ourselves. You know, we're like, oh,
that's true.
We do. But I, you know, I think that's made the biggest difference this time is being able to kind of have those people to vent to, the accountability people. You know, all of you all are people that I know, number one, that I can trust, and number two, you will call me out on my shit. You'll be like, I know. No. You know, and I need that. I need somebody to be like, no, you know, you're fine. It sucks right now, but you're fine. I'm like, I know, but no, no, you're fine. I'm fine.
Yeah.
You know, I need that. We all need that sometimes.
We do. Yeah, absolutely. 110%. I like that you said it like that because I think it's important to have that group of people that you can trust, but then also to have them be able to deliver the message to you in a certain way. Because I think we all sometimes have those people, but sometimes they may or may not be the people that are going to deliver it to in a way where we can absorb it. Because I know, at least for me, when I get into certain states, if somebody's coming at me a certain way, I'm like, what? You know, I'm on defense mode. Yeah. You know, it's like a sneak attack. You got like sneak attack, like come in and be like, hey, how you doing today? You all right? Yeah. You okay? What's wrong? What's going on? Yeah. Talk to me. Is everything okay? You know what I mean? And I'm like, you know what? Everything's not okay.
Yeah. So are you that type though that holds it all in until you like explode?
Yep.
Me too.
I'm learning I'm learning to deal with that though, in a sense where I'm like, hey, Stace, you're in a safe space. This is a safe person. Tell them what's going on. Even if you don't say all the things, say something. Like I'll tell you, I'm like, look, I'm on a break today. Like
I'm out.
I just can't. I'm like, I'll be back tomorrow. Just give me a minute. But yeah, I think that's the thing, because that was a learned behavior that I kept because I thought that was the way, because I saw it work in a certain way. And I was like, okay, well, they're fine now. But then what happens is you get that trigger and then you just like, ugh! And then it's like a series of stories. And you're like, when did, I didn't know. I didn't know. It's like somebody's bringing you in on a third episode and you're like, there was a first and second?
Yeah.
Like I thought this was the first episode.
Well, and I think by keeping it in, we're only damaging ourselves, but we're not allowing other people to feel like it's a safe place. And I do better at it now. I'm not perfect at it, but I do better at it now. I recognize when I'm trying to like suck it all in and like keep it to myself, like I got this. And I have to remind myself, now you remember when you thought you had this before and you kept doing it until you fell on your face and broke, and it took you so long to pick all the pieces back up. Do you really want to get there again? I had to have those conversations with myself, and I was not only hurting myself, but I was not allowing other people to see my mess. And that's been one of my big missions is, as hard as it is to let people see our messy sides, and that's been my one of my callings. And it sounds silly, but it was like I felt like it was my calling to show all my messy. And I got a lot, but I felt like it was because I needed to see somebody else with messy while I was looking, trying to see somebody else like me, that wanted to have it all together, but they wasn't quite making the mark all the time, right?
Right.
I needed that person. I was looking for anybody, and I couldn't see it. And I mean, I'm sure they were out there, but they wasn't letting everybody see all their messy. And so, I decided to be that person, but it doesn't mean it's always easy. It doesn't mean that it's always easy to show up with all of your mess and be like, today I'm a hot mess, because there's days I'm a freaking hot mess. And the more overwhelmed I get and busy I get, I'm not sleeping as much as I should. I'm not taking as much time to do all my own self-care things as I should. And it seems like my kids conspire during that time to also, I think they have secret meetings. I can't prove it, but I think they do. They're like, you know what? Mom's like really busy right now, so here's what we need to do. Yeah. They've got like charts somewhere in the house.
Exhibit A, we're going to thoughts in the living room. We're going to put pillows on the floor.
Exactly. It's like, I don't know what goes on. And not only that, and this morning, true story. Let me rewind. Let's rewind to before this morning. So back to, I've been covering shifts here at the cafe because we're understaffed. We hire people in, we've been training. This is, so end of year in the marketing world is where you get into everybody's budget for the whole next year. So busy time, right? And then not only that, we have all the holidays coming up, which I haven't even, I'm like, oh yeah, Christmas is not that many weeks today away. So I'm like, yeah, well, I'm switching already. Yeah. So like sitting there trying to plan all this stuff and figure out like all the stuff that I need to order for the cafe that you can't get right now. So trying to come up with all the things, right? So all that's going on. Okay. I get the bright idea because Maria wants to organize and do things whenever I'm stressed. I got this bright idea the other night. I'm like, I'm going to go through, because I can. I live on a farm, so I can. Everybody cans in the country is what we do. So I have this, we call it cellar room, this big room that has this lined with shelves that I have all my canned goods in that I can, right? I'm going to clean it all out and organize it. I don't know why. I'm just going to clean it all out and organize it.
So this is like ties?
I know I put it in categories and it's just whatever. It's
is there
my
a binder
brain's way. It's I do not have a binder for that at the moment, but well, that's a good idea actually, but I don't need that. Anyway, point is it's like 8 p.m. It's 8 p.m. when I get this like brain shot. It's like I can't control my life. Yeah. So no. and nobody, and actually people on the show know too. They're like, wait, Maria, 8 p.m. No, Maria, not 8 p.m.
I would. So anyway,
I know it's 8 p.m. and I'm like, I can't control my whole life. I can control my canned goods. That's fine. So I go in there and I'm like, but instead of just like organizing it, no, Maria can't do that. I drag everything out into the family room downstairs so I can dust it and clean it first, right? Well, then by this time it's like super late and Sayla cries upstairs and I go upstairs. This was like 6 days ago and it's still out in the middle of my family room because I haven't even got a chance to go
Oh my God. So it looks like you just
So it's
like hoarded cans.
yeah. So it's jars, it's mason jars, but yeah, it's all out in my family room, right? So I haven't even got a chance to go back down there and do it yet. So I like threatening my children with their life to not touch them and all of that. So this morning I get up and I go downstairs and I moved a couple back in there and I went in there to check the stuff that I put in the dryer last night. The dryer isn't working. It just decided to stop heating. I'm like,
that's like
of course not. No, so it's fine. You know, and it's not even like summer, so you can't like hang it on the line or anything. It's like getting rainy and crappy and everything. And I'm like, perfect. So I'm like, all right. And I go upstairs and I go to turn the oven on because I was going to make the kids something before we left. And I noticed that I walk in there and I notice it's not at 350. It's at 244 degrees, right? I'm like, so my oven also
Angel
stopped.
Numbers? I'm just kidding.
I guess. So my oven also stopped. Same day, right? So you know how it is when it, like that whole thing when it rains and pours. I'm stressed out because I'm walking downstairs, all that stuff staring me in the face. I didn't get done. Like, you suck, Maria. You didn't get us done. And I'm like trying to put something on there, go in there to go do this, go there to do this. Nothing is working. I end up being late. I'm like telling my kids, I'm like, dude, we don't have time for this. Just go grab a banana, get in the car. We got to go to the babysitter. We don't have time for this. And Sayla, the 4-year-old, she's like, are you going to get fired? And I was like, I'm going to get fired. And Cole's like, no, you're the one that owns the business. I know I'll get fired. And Sayla knows Amber that works here. And Amber, people that don't know, Amber's my work wife and she pretty much runs the show here. Right. So Sayla goes, Amber's going to fire you. And I was like, yeah, she's going to fire me. So I came in and told Amber to please fire me, which she won't do. I want to be fired in this moment. But anyway, point is days like this, I come in and I mean, you're already defeated before you start, right?
Yeah.
It's like, and I know that when I'm done here, I have all that crap I need to try to figure out how to do at home and everything wants to break at the same time. And if this had been a few years ago, I would not have been on the show. I would have been crying in my office. I would have quit, wink, 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 everything. Because, I mean, I went through those moments where I'm done. I quit. Everything. Because you get so overwhelmed.
Yep.
And, I had those moments. I mean, like I said, my eyes like twitching. I'm like, yeah. Like, it's fine. It's like, whatever, it's fine. It's whatever. So it's just, I see growth even in myself. Yeah. But then I also want to make sure that I'm coming on here so everybody that's watching this knows that, you may come in here and be like, oh my gosh, this building is so beautiful. You did such a good job and the cafe is so great. My entire existence is a hot mess. It's not easy. I barely, half the time I'm hanging on by a thread. So, and I think it's important to talk about those kind of things because I don't ever want to be the reason somebody doesn't try to do something because they think I've got some type of superpower. I don't. I wish I did, but I do not. And if you want to like shadow me one day and come through my entire life, you'll see the hot mess that I really am. I am an open book. And I think that is why it's so important to kind of talk about those things is because I am a firm believer that anybody can do anything. Absolutely. I mean, really. Anybody can do it. There's Amber. Fire me! I am not a superhero. Amber. Yeah, I'm a hot mess. She knows I'm a hot mess. She knows. She loves me and my hot mess.
But you work through it, and that's the champion moment.
You have to. I mean, and I think that's the thing is that when you hit those days, those moments, let's be honest, sometimes it's not days. Sometimes it's like, it feels like years at that point. When you hit those moments in life where you feel like it's just so much, and every time you turn around, something else is something else is something else, it's okay to have those days where you're not okay.
Yep.
It's okay to say, okay, I quit for today. It's even okay to reevaluate what you're doing and saying, this is not for me because ABC. But don't ever just stop doing something because of only of hard days, because you're going to have
110%. Yeah. I was listening to something, like every day I make sure I listen to something positive, something motivational. That's part of my everyday routine because I know how much that or the weight of that into who I am, So I was listening to something and it was saying like any progress is progress. Like you get up, I think there's even a book called Make Your Bed by a Navy SEAL that I want to read. Do something. Like I was actually part of this Clubhouse chat yesterday. I think the guy's name is Tate Anderson. He has this group called like Billionaire Growth something. I forget the name of it. But long story short, they were asking a question. I had this moment where he was asking a question like, tell us about your goals or your goal for gold. You know what I mean? Like, what is the thing that you're working on? That thing that's outside there that you're like taking the steps to. And they call on me like, Stacey, you want to speak? And I knew, you know, the doubt part of me is like, don't say anything because you don't know what your goals are. Like, you don't have the framework down. Just say, skip me. And I'm like, no. Be authentic here. Like, say that you have a general idea, but you don't have all the framework. Like, say that. Because I think we live in that reality where we see all these stars and athletes and whoever it is. And we're like, oh my God, like, prime example, Mr. Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. Like, we see he gets up every day. He's doing this, he's doing that. But
tequila is really good too, side note.
Yeah, tequila is good, but sometimes that can cause me to have a bad experience. It's actually a good experience, but it's bad for productivity. But anyway, so the thing is, you know, I felt like I had to be vulnerable in that moment because just like how you said, like, you want people to see the mess.
Yep.
Like, there's growth in that. Like, you're showing up as your authentic self, that you're not so like polished. Oh yeah, it makes a lot of people's Funny thing is, I just got a text from Natasha as soon as that message came through. That was interesting. Anyway, so the thing is, it's like I actually felt championed in that moment because I was like, look, like, I don't think like everybody else in this room. You know what I mean? Like, what I do is I focus on the habit because I know long term, this habit is connected to another habit. So I'm focusing on like the steps of my goal are dominoes.
Yeah.
Say you have thousands of dominoes lined up. My only purpose is to every day tap it.
Yep.
Sometimes all the dominoes don't fall down. Sometimes it's just 4 of them. Every day I just tap. That's all I need to do. And that's what I focus on because I know me. I know that if I say, Stace, people are depending on you. People need you to be that positive. If I keep doing that, I'm going to freak out. I'm going to feel the weight and the pressure. Like, yes, overall, long term, yes, that is what I'm aiming to do. I want to help people that are going through those doubt moments that I went through in my teenage years and even currently. But my goal is to just focus on the tap. And that's what that voice is in my head. Like, I just need you to do. I just need you to do. There's a list of things. Just do. Just do. Because eventually that's going to trickle into the next thing. And then I'm going to have that same feeling. Just do. And that's where you start the, I don't know if you want to call it rehabilitation or you want to call it momentum or you want to call it just habit forming behavior. Because I think sometimes the mind can get a little distracted. It's like, oh my God, I got this mountain. How am I going to climb it by myself? Oh, I don't have to climb it by myself. Everybody has a task. I have a team. I have people that are there to help support me. Even if it's that they're not hands-on support, they're listening support, they're motivational support, like whatever it is, you know, that is what the tap is. You know, it's little pieces that eventually, long-term, it's like investments, right? Like, you're not gonna be like, all right, we got $1 million, just drop it on. You know what I mean? It's not that. It's maybe $5 here. Maybe 100 this week, maybe $6, maybe 20. That's what it is. But eventually, you'll get there.
It's like snowball effect. It's
yeah.
I mean, I think that's good advice because Jen Patrick, she's local here. She comes in a coffee shop all the time. She's also very involved in the economic development of this area that I'm locally in.
Nice.
She was in here earlier, and you know, there's a lot going on in this county, you know, trying to spur economic growth. It's a very rural area, so there's challenges like everywhere, but then, you know, excess challenges just because of the location. But you know, she, you know, brought up that statement that is said where, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? And I think that's a lot of what you're saying is, you stare at that entire elephant, you're like, man, what the heck?
This thing is huge.
Yeah. But if you just think about, the first bite, the second bite, whatever, even though it sounds really disgusting, you get what I'm saying.
Don't come after us.
Yeah, exactly. We're not really eating elephants here. So, it's just like, I think that's it. It's just taking those bite-sized pieces, those tiny steps. And you could even look at it to say, if I told you that you needed to walk from, here in Ohio or where you're at, New York, to California, you'd be like, that's a long way. But if you just did a few miles a day, it may take a while, but you'll eventually get there. And I think that's the same thing, is that I think that sometimes we can overwhelm ourselves with just the enormous task in front of us. And honestly, a lot of our goals that we have, they are big tasks. We have, depending on where our feet are planted right now today, you may have a long way to go, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what the biggest thing is, figure out the location you're going, so at least you're heading in the right direction. And I love that you said, that you just want to tap, so it's kind of that same thing of just, today, just put one foot in front of the other, take a couple of steps in the right direction. You don't have to worry about getting there. Just start heading in the right direction. And I think that's a big thing. And, give yourself the opportunity to rest, relax, give yourself the opportunity to, have a day where you're uncertain and you kind of start to freak out a little bit because just the enormous, think about it this way, going back to the analogy of walking to California, you're going to have your days where you don't freaking want to walk. You're tired. Maybe it's storming outside, you're tired, you're exhausted. It's okay to have those days where you're like, what the heck am I doing? Or like, I'm exhausted, I need to rest. And, you need to give yourself the permission to not feel like it that day, to not feel good about it that day, to feel uncertain about, am I even going in the right direction? Am I still heading west? Am I still on the right path here? You're going to have that.
Right.
Because, I think so many times, you mentioned all the greats, all the big people. We see all the things that they've done. And, we're like, we try to make them like superhuman, I think. Sometimes, I know I always did. And I can guarantee you that they had those probably many, many, many days of uncertainty and questioning themselves and even wondering if they even wanted to do it anymore because they were so freaking tired. Yeah. I bet they had it. They had to.
Oh, heck yeah. There's this great show that LeBron James has on HBO Max called The Shop. And just picture, a barbershop and just people, usually like sports people, like, what's his name?
Michael Jordan.
He hasn't been on the show yet.
Shaquille O'Neal. I'm sure. Now, maybe the ones that I still knew.
Like
Scottie Pippen.
Tom Brady.
I know
Scottie Pippen.
Like, don't be knocking Scottie Pippen.
You're in the back, Marie.
I am.
Come forward, girl.
That's when I was still paying attention to all the sports. If that tells you how long it's been.
True. I'm not even, long story short, I'm going to make a little segue because you just triggered my mind. I used to watch the Knicks play and iron my clothes for school on a Sunday night. And that was Patrick Ewing and John Stark. That team, I was like, yeah! And I'm ironing my clothes. I'm just like, yeah! But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is they have these great conversations in the barbershop, and like they actually have like barbers in there. They have like a little wine and everything. I'm like, yo, this is nice. Like, can I be in the shop? They got wine. They got little drinky drinks. I'm like, I'll take a box juice, an adult box juice, please. But anyway, the whole point of the show, they asked some really great, wow, I sound like Tweety Bird over here. Great questions. They asked some really great questions. Like, tell me about this moment when, and they really get down into these moments that you wouldn't even imagine. You wouldn't even imagine that these people would have these experiences because we just see them perform at their quote unquote, what we feel is their best. Isn't that funny? We feel it. Oh, you won a championship. My goodness. And here they are like, I didn't do my best that day. What? Like, you know what I mean? And it's like, sometimes we just get focused on how we perceive the situation, the movement, the drive, what's happening with this person when we have no idea No idea. We have no idea what this person is fighting. And I forgot who, actually, one of the episodes that kind of stuck out to me, Jay-Z was actually on. And he was talking about, one of his album covers. And I forget which one it was, but he's in a bulletproof vest, right? And everybody's like, man, I like, that album cover was hard. Like, where'd you get the vest from? He's like, that wasn't a prop. Like, that wasn't a prop. That was something I wore every day because people were really trying to kill me.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Like, what we see is, rap, we're
like
thinking,
tough guy.
Yeah, tough guy. He's like, no, that was for real. Like, I had to wear it. Like, we just see with our eyes, right? We're just like, oh, that's not what's going on. The tennis player, I forget her name, that recently
Venus?
just walked. Not Venus. It was another woman. She.
You said tennis. I just think of Venus. She is tennis to me.
She is tennis.
She is tennis. Tennis Venus.
Oh, her name is Naomi Osaka.
Oh, I remember hearing about this.
Japanese tennis player, right?
Yeah. I remember that.
So she walked away from like a huge,
like the Olympics.
Event. Yeah, just walked away. And she was on the show and she's talking about like, I was going through so much at that time. Like, am I in this for the right reasons? Like, there's also a basketball player that was on and everybody's like, oh my God, you're doing so great. She's like, that was actually one of the worst times of my life because I was suffering.
Yeah.
I was waking up every day, going to practice, doing this, like just killing it in the gym while she's like battling her life.
Yeah.
We don't even know. Because we just see what the TV shows us. Like, man, this person's killing it. They probably craziness.
Yeah. Well, and they probably felt like they weren't allowed.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
You get to a certain level, it's like you feel you don't even have control of your own life anymore. So it's like, how do you stop doing what you're doing to take care of your own mental health at the moment? And I think that one lady, the Japanese lady that you were talking about, I think she's the one. I might be wrong, so sorry if I am, but I think she's the one that they said literally walked away from the Olympics because of her own things that were going on in her life. And of course, there was a lot of people that have all kinds of things to say that was none of their business. But, I actually admire her. That had to take freaking guts. That had to take some guts to be like, no, I'm not okay. I need to stop. Because I think what ends up happening is we feel like we have to be martyrs to our decisions sometimes. And, it's not that. And I've even said that I'm a mom, obviously. So I've even said that, like, I thought for the longest time that, I'm the one that chose to have kids. I have kids. I need to be a martyr to my kids. No, I need to give my all to my kids. I need to, be there for my kids. There's certain things that comes with the responsibility of being a mother, that doesn't mean that I have to be a martyr. It doesn't mean I don't get my own, safe space. It doesn't mean that I don't get, time for self-care. And I think that was something that took me a long time to learn. And I still have to tell myself, no, it's okay that you say, no, kids will be in there in a minute. I have to have a minute. That's still, because there's something in the back of my head that goes, no, you're a tower mom. You can't do that. They need you right now. But, sometimes they can wait 5 minutes. They can wait 5 minutes. They think they can, but they can't. And I think it's the same thing, like with your work environment, your romantic relationships, your friendships. I think we get this idea that we can't have our safe places, that we can't have our moments where we're not okay. We can't have our moments where we just need our own space because we feel like we owe it, I guess, to everybody to give our 100% when we don't have 100% to give.
We got like 4.
Yeah, we got like 4%. We're trying to like find some more. We're like trying to find, hold on just a second. It's just, and I think that's the reason, like, you think about how many people struggle with mental health now. I feel like it has just gone through the roof.
Yep.
I mean, I am not a mental health professional, and maybe I'm completely wrong. I just feel like I'm not. I feel like there's so much more of it going on. And I think it's because of these pressures to be all the things to all the people at all the times. And I think it's exhausting. And we're starting it even at such young ages with our kids. And I don't think it's on purpose. I think it's accidental. But there's a few years back where we pulled the plug on doing sports. I was always a sports person. I coached sports. Our kids were always involved in sports. And there came a day where we were so burnt out and so overwhelmed. And a lot of people that listen to the show know that I have an autistic child. He's 12 now, but at the time he was still young. We were in over our heads with all the things. And, you know, I don't know what goes on in a lot of the schools and stuff now, but they take sports seriously now.
So it's serious. Not like they're prepping for college.
Yeah. It's not like when I was a kid, you know, you had practice a couple times a week, you know what I mean? And now it's like every single day, you know, you're doing all the things. You have like hours and hours of practice per sport every day, and then games. So it's like a more than full time. So, you know, yeah, and me and Amber have been having this conversation because Amber, so I'm an older mom now because I've got older kids, you know, grown kids. Right. So I've been through this all. But there was one day that I got up and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't. And of course, my kids were mad. They wanted to play. But I'm like, it's not good for the family. It's not good for me. It's not good for you all, really. You know, everybody was burning the candle at all the ends for them to go and play like 2 innings of something, or, you know, it got to be too much. And I think, you know, you sit there and think about why so many people are having so much issues with mental health. It's like, look at what we're expecting of ourselves, our kids. Like, we are putting so much pressures on ourselves to do all the things. Like, you know, I love sports, and I think it's good for kids to play them.
Absolutely.
But
they need to be active.
But there's a line, a limit.
Yeah, there's definitely a limit to that type of thing, because as a child, like, you're still developing, you're still trying to learn about yourself. And I think when you put so much time into that, depending on the kid, I think it's depending on the kid. Like, sometimes, heck yeah, they can balance that, balance school, balance family, and they're great at it. Some of the pressures, those kids will just like break down. And I mean, part of me is like, yes, a little bit, because at least they can start to build the framework to handle it later on in life. But at the same time, it's like, is this kid gonna feel a certain way when they get older? Like, I didn't have a childhood. Like, those are things I would think about. Like, yo, you sure you want to do this? Like, you sure you want to do this? I'm like, all right, you know, let me know if it gets too much, you know, or if I see that this kid's just like out of the house more than home. I'm just like, who's raising the kid? Like,
well, I think that's it. You know, they're at class all day, right. Then they go to practice for hours, and then they're coming home, and most of them they're having 2 or 3 hours of homework. So they're getting in bed at 11 p.m. and then getting back up again. You know, kids need more sleep, so that's one issue.
Oh, of course.
And then you think about it on a family unit. You know, assuming you have more than one child, most families have 2 working parents in the home. So they're working all day. Then they're trying to shuffle kids where they're supposed to go. Then they're trying to get home and make sure that they eat. And then they're trying to make sure that they have enough time to spend time with them and enough time to spend with each other. It's just like, there's so many layers of pressures.
Too much.
That we're putting on ourselves now that, you know, it's no wonder that we're all like this close to just breaking.
Snapping. And I think, you know, it's so interesting because I like the show that you did on Successfully Chaotic with Denise Eckert, because she's the burnout coach. I had to really listen to that like a couple of times, like, to realize, like, a lot of us do that, where we just work and work and work and work and work, and then we force it. Like, we force the next level. And I think when we get to that point when we're like, just like trying to get out of bed, like, or like trying to get to the next thing, that's not a good sign. That's not a good sign, because that's when you snap. That's like when it all comes crashing down. And I think we've reached a point in society where we're finally starting to unlock these layers of vulnerability. But I think we're starting to realize how much of our past has dictated how we handle our present. And it's leading to a point where a lot of us are hitting our breaking points. And I think that's what caused this whole, like, I think, you know, what a lot of people are focusing on, this great resignation. A lot of people are just straight up walking out of jobs. I think that TikTok video says it best. Like, I'm pretty sure, well, some people have seen it, where there's this girl at Walmart, and I think she was just like, I'm in this toxic environment. I can't take it anymore. She's literally shaking and making that announcement over the loudspeaker. She's like, yo, I'm walking out. I'm done. You know what I mean? And do I think that she should have? Yeah, you saw it, right?
Or no? I did not. I need to
watch
it.
Did?
I didn't,
oh man!
I told you, I've been like, I'm like that. I'm playing. I haven't even heard. I'll have to look. I have no idea what you're talking about.
If I find, I'll
teach me, Stacey.
Teach me your way, Sensei. Yeah, I'll send it to you if I find it. But the point is, I think a lot of people are realizing like they put up with certain things for far too long. And I think for some reason in their reality, they thought that there was no other way to live and to make a living, I should say. And we felt like we had to stay in these situations that were toxic to us. And some situations are not going to be toxic to another person. They're like, yo, I could brush it off. But some people are realizing like, oh my God, like this is not for me. Like this is not healthy for me. And I think it caused a lot of people to work to the point where they burnt out and they didn't even know it was burnout. They didn't even know. They just knew that they felt like, I can't do this anymore. And then it would go away for a little bit and it would come back and they just don't know what that is. It's burnout. It's not healthy to work to those points. Like it doesn't benefit anyone. It just puts you in the hospital.
Exactly. Well, and I think entrepreneurs face that all the time because especially if you're kind of solo in your business, it's like you don't have anybody else to do. So
no.
But I mean, even when you do have like a team, I mean, I try to catch myself now because I have been to burnout and I know the signs and I know when I'm feeling like I can't do it anymore. It's usually when I start to question like, what the frick am I doing? Like
why am
do I even want to do this?
Yeah.
I mean, it's when I start questioning, I'm like, all right, you know, I need to unplug for a while. I need to delegate more. I need to take a break because I'm overwhelmed. And, you know, most of the time that'll pass. When I know I need to give a portion of something up is when it doesn't pass. When I take the break, when I unplug, when I delegate the stuff for a little bit, and then I come back to it and I'm still like, nah. I know that for whatever reason, my time with whatever that is at the moment is up. And I think that's a big thing. And we talk about that actually a lot on here because you know, you see so many people, you know, hustle, grind, don't give up, and and that kind of stuff can be good unless you're in a situation where everything is pointing to the fact that you're done with that season. You know, I think we go through seasons where it served you in this season. You know, in this season, it was great, good, whatever, but you know, everything has a time where maybe it's not that season for you anymore. Maybe it's time for you to, you know, stop whatever you're doing, you know, hand it off, sell it, whatever the case may be on whatever it is, and move to the next thing. Because if you keep in a situation that you're not meant to be in anymore, it's going to feel toxic to you because that season's done for you. It's time for you to move on to the next season. And I didn't hear the Walmart thing, but you know, I'm just wondering if maybe it served a specific season in her life, and for whatever reason,
probably
it was done. She was done with that, but she kept showing up there every day doing it anyway, even though the whole universe is telling her, nah, you're done with this. I want you over here.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting that you say that because I think with life, it kind of, we do get to that point. I think many of us have had that point where it's just like, all right, it's time to go. And I think we all choose to leave in whatever way suits us at that time. And it's a learning experience. I think universally, it's a shift where it just kind of like, it's no longer a pull, but a push. Like, you're going to feel like, all right, I got to go here. It's like somebody's trying to get you. All right, I need you to, and then you're like, oh my God, it's like, get the hell out of here.
Yep.
It's interesting how life is like it's literally as thick as one of those Harry Potter books. And each chapter is just like leading into the next. And each page is you learning something else and finding who you are and then realizing like, okay, I got to go here. I got to go here. I got to go here. And eventually you just start to stay on a path. You're like, okay, it's kind of working, which usually, not for everyone, I feel like between your 30s and 50s is like when you start to kind of lay the bricks down.
Well, and I think that is, you know, once you've figured out that it's like, okay, not everything is going to always line up all the time. You're not always going to wake up every day like, let's do this. You know, you're going to have your days where you're like, ah. And I think the key is finding the balance to realize the difference between, okay, again, like we were talking about before, is this just a hard day, you know, hard, you know, season, or is it something that literally the universe is telling me it's time to kind of move on? And that can take some time. I think the thing for me is, you know, historically, I would go through these phases of being overwhelmed and just, like I said earlier, like, I quit everything, but I wasn't giving myself the permission to, number one, rest and ask myself, okay, am I just feeling overwhelmed? Do I feel like this is not for me anymore? I would just get overwhelmed and want to like run away from that bad feeling, you know, and now I've been through it enough times at this point that I do stop and pause and rest and say, okay, am I just tired? Am I overwhelmed? Or is something not working and I need to move on from it? And I think that's been the biggest difference for me, is giving myself the permission to stop and ask myself those questions, because I didn't before. I felt like I had to just go, 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 go. So that means I need to make quick decisions, right? I was always in a hurry, you know, quick decisions. I need to know, And I made so many mistakes doing that. It was like I would start everything real fast. I would stop everything real fast. And I'd be like, what the heck did I do? Go back over here, start again. Like, you know, back and forth. And, you know, I think as I've gotten older, I've gotten a little bit better about stopping and just taking a breath and asking myself, okay, are you just overwhelmed right now? Do you completely hate this forever? Or do you just hate everything at this moment and you need a day? Because there's days where I hate everything. I don't want anybody looking at me. I don't want anybody breathing near me. Don't freaking talk to me. Just go somewhere else. You know, and I think it's okay to feel like that. I do. I'm just like, I've had to tell my husband, he'll say, are you mad at me? No, I'm not mad at you. Well, what's wrong? I just need everybody to go away. I need a minute. I was like, not you. It's not you. It's not the kids. I just need a minute. I need a moment. I need my bubble. I need a bubble. You know, and I think that, you know, goes right back to, I'm older now. So I've kind of stepped into the fact that I can say that and not feel terrible about it anymore. And used to, I'd feel horrible. Like I wasn't allowed to feel that way.
Yeah, I like that you said that, because I think that's where I'm at in certain aspects of my life. Like, I'm learning to say either yes or no to certain things, you know, and oh my goodness, this just triggered something in my brain. So I was listening to Brene Brown's podcast, and she was saying, I think she had this lady on, I forget her name. She has a book called Emotional Agility, I think it's called. And she was talking about, I think her name is Susan David. So she's on and she's talking about, imagine, she was actually specifically talking about raising kids, but I think this applies to this situation. She was saying, like, imagine, like, you know, a shallow bridge, like one of those wooden bridges with like the rope as the railing. She said, you know, the bridge itself is kind of like life. You know, your child is trying to get to one point to another, and you're sending them across this bridge, but the handles or the rope are your boundaries. So it's like, you know, that's what you hold on to. But if you walk across that bridge and there are no ropes, you end up falling into situations that don't serve you, in a sense, or doesn't help you get to the other side. And I like that definition, because it's kind of fitting in this, because I think as you go on in life, you start to realize what those boundaries are and allow yourself to operate within them and not outside of them. Because just like you, for years, like, even if I didn't, there's a difference between like feeling like you want to do something or not, and like having that feeling of resistance where you know you shouldn't and you ignore it. Like, that is like a totally different feeling. Because sometimes, like, oh, I don't want to go to the meeting. It's like, you have to go to the meeting. That's different. But it's like, oh, I don't want to go to the meeting because I'm done here. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's a different feeling. But I think, you know, sometimes we ignore the ability of having alone time. I think, and I would imagine, even as a mother, we think we always have to be there. And when they call us, we have to be there. And at every moment and every time. And we're just like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh my God, I am a person. Like, it's not all the time I'm going to want to play or talk or anything. And you have to be okay and not feel guilty, which is, I think, would sound like it's a process. I'm not a mother at this time.
It was a process for me. I don't know about with everybody, but definitely was for me.
Yeah, it's like a process, realizing like you have an identity outside of being in the role of being a mother, and the ability to kind of go in and out of those moments in your life. You know what I mean? And I think sometimes people, because I think even in the chat yesterday when I was in Clubhouse, I think, there was this person, I think her name is Queen V, now that I remember, but she was saying like she has trouble like balancing that or understanding it and being okay with it. Like, she's like, I'm always making sure everybody else is okay. The kids, the husband, everybody else is okay. But for me, the things I need to do, it's just like, you know what I mean? And I find that so interesting, because I know that that story is among many parents, especially mothers, that go through that, and being okay with saying like, not right now, give me a couple of minutes, like mommy's having mommy time.
Yeah. Well, and I think, I'm sure there are some dads out there that feel the same way, and I'm not saying they don't. I've not ever been a dad, so I have no idea. I just know in our family and in my extended family, it's very quote unquote stereotypical roles that have been played with the moms and the dads, and whatever works for your family, fine, whatever. But like, I naturally fell into that same type of parenting of, okay, well, I'm married now, I have kids, so this is my life now, and all of my things that I wanted to do or thought about, I thought I had to give them up. I thought I had to put them to the side for quote unquote when I had time, which, let's be honest, is never. So it wasn't until a long time that I slowly started coming out of that, and it's still a daily struggle. I still have moments where if I'm at home with the kids, I feel guilty because I'm not here, working on my business and making sure things are getting done that need to get done for everybody that works for me, because I have those pressures. But then if I'm here and I have the kids are at the sitter right now, which thankfully she gives me a little less guilt because she's fabulous, but they're at the sitter, I'm sitting there thinking, oh, they're only little once, and I know how fast they grow because I've grown kids now, and it's always this like tug of war game going on internally. And I think it is for people even that don't have kids. So if you're trying to balance, your friendships or your other relationship with family members or whatever, I think, kids just add extra, sauce on that problem. But, I think that it's always a struggle of just balancing the need for us to show up to other people and the need to also show up for what we want to, and finding that balance is hard. And I think earlier you mentioned that it's constantly like this. And that's been the biggest lesson in my entire life. Like, if I could say, if somebody was to say, Maria, what's the biggest lesson that you've learned in your life thus far? I would literally say that. I literally thought the same as you, that one day I would hit this magical moment where things were going to like be balanced. If I worked hard enough, I planned enough, if, all these things enough, if I did enough and it was enough, then one day it would be all balanced. And that doesn't even freaking exist. It's a fairy tale that I was chasing and driving myself crazy, and everybody around me, let's be honest, everybody around me crazy to try to achieve this moment that doesn't happen. And even if you think it happens, it's like for 30 seconds. It's almost like, how like you clean your kitchen and for like 30 seconds, you look really like,
it's gonna be perfect. No crumbs.
So good. And then like 5 seconds later, somebody walks in and so I mean, that's your life. It's like, even if you manage to get to where it's like, woo, 5 seconds later, it's undone anyway. So get up, do your thing, work on growth, work on mindset, work on your business, work on your family relationships, work on things, but focus on just one foot in front of the other. Forget the balancing all the things and this magical balance moment. Your goal for balancing should be that you feel balanced, that you feel okay, that you allow yourself to close that chapter when you're ready to close it for good, or to close the chapter on that day because you've done enough, or close the chapter on the guilt that you're feeling for whatever reason. That should be the balance. It should just be feeling okay and, feeling like you are where you're meant to be at all times, wherever that's at. And I think we think that we have to hit these moments where it's like, I'm here, I've arrived. And that's
Heck
not
yeah.
how it is. And how boring does that freaking sound? If I had got to the point where I've arrived right now, that actually sounds terrible. What is after that? That's terrible.
Look at it like this. I'll leave this as like the final thought, right? Because I have to go into Clubhouse chat. But imagine climbing Mount Everest and you reach the summit. That's not the end.
No.
You have to climb back down. Nobody's coming with a helicopter. Nobody's coming with a helicopter like, hey, good job, come on up, we'll go get drinks. No. The same thing you did to get there, you got to come back down. And you got to live to tell about it.
Exactly. And that's part of the journey, right? part of the journey is still the what's next. Think about it. It's like a cliffhanger. You know, if you're watching a show or reading a book and there's no cliffhanger, it's like the end. You're like, well, that sucks, you know? Yeah. It's like, have you ever read that or watched a show and it ends? You're like, what? That's it?
Like limited series. Ain't nobody got time for no limited business to keep going.
I mean, you don't want that in your life either. You want that cliffhanger, the what's next. Yeah. And I think that's why life's so like all over the place all the time is because we need it. Yeah. So yeah, we'll end there because you got to go to Clubhouse and I got to go in there and
but it continues. You see?
And it continues.
It just continues.
Woo. So yeah, this was a good show. I feel like that we brought some good thought.
It's the sauce.
It's the sauce.
The sauce.
The secret sauce. All right, so we'll be back again next Wednesday at 1 p.m. and it'll be November. What?
Yo, what? Ew.
What? Where has this year gone? I don't even know what happened anymore.
We're plate spinners. We're just sitting there spinning plates.
That's fine. So it'll be November. We still probably won't have all our shit together because we never will, but that's fine because we're just taking one step in front of the other. So we'll see you next week, 1 p.m. Eastern. And
thank you guys.
Bye.